who buys the unit. So the first 24 buyers will automatically have their parking spaces.
And then that's
And
afterwards.
then you have, there's a generational difference where there are people who are interested in just being close to a train. So maybe 10 units are sold at that point, right? So we have 37 units that are sold. If you put yourself in our shoes, we're making a substantial investment in the community. We're talking about millions of dollars that we're investing in it. We're educated, smart people. We're not going to take a risk on an investment that doesn't make sense. So our studies are saying to us that people are taking Uber, they have Zip cars, they're sharing things, they're sharing rides, but that's only a percentage of the building, right? The other percentage of the building is going to have parking spaces, and then the other percentage of the building is going to figure it out. I understand that in this area specifically, many of us have purchased homes, they still own a home on Seymour Avenue, without parking spaces, right? In this day and age, some people want cars, and so we're providing the option of having, both.
I'm going to jump in here right now and just say, basically, everybody, I would say 80 to 85% of the people who are in the Van Nest area, 2 and 3 family homes, everybody has at least 1 or 2 cars. And I know you've said this before, and I have to say, I really do not agree. Do not agree at all. And also the fact, you had said at the town hall meeting that there were parking garages that were still available. I'm sorry, there is not. If you go from Adams Street up to Bronxdale Avenue, and if you know where some of the garages are, they are all taken, and they've been taken for a long, long time. So there's no available spaces. And I don't know, I don't agree, I just don't agree with that. So, Shraddha, next.
There's a lot of pros and cons.
Yes.
I'm using my street, Mead Street. It's a lot of house built there, and they're all rented on Section 8. Our street used to have a lot of parking, now we don't have no parking there. This is small houses. At least we get something coming in our neighborhood that we get 24, 25 parking, and then 100%. It's a plus for our neighborhood. Plus, our property value will go up for all these things. You gotta think, sit down and think about this. People are putting negative things because they hear things that are happening here. This is not about negative, this is about what's gonna happen to us in the future ahead of us. We are using all these things for parking, it's not, I'm for the program. My street right now, there's a couple of houses built there, I can't get parking at night. And that's because small house building, but you guys are putting parking, which is a plus for me.
Yeah, but the parking is
So,
for the people that...
every time we have something it's about parking, we have a church, it's about parking, we have this about parking, and then I look at the other church that used to not have parking. So I'm saying that we need to think twice before we vote tonight. Think about this project. It's not you invest millions of dollars in this project, it's gonna be something good for us. Like Bob said, if it retirements, I'm not sure if I retire, I want to look for something like that too.
Okay. Linda.
If it'll make, she was waiting.
Oh, go ahead, Marie.
Okay. Talking about the parking, I don't drive, but I have seen firsthand what driving can do. I have a friend that has a car. We have gone out at 10 o'clock at night just to go to church or whatever. And we get back an hour later, and we're still in the car 3 hours later looking for a parking spot. There has been an influx of new buildings that have already been built that are sizable buildings in our area. So there's an overcrowding issue. Overcrowding means more cars, no parking. And then you want to have a building in our area that's oversized with more parking, no more parking, and that's going to cause a lot of bad feelings. It's just not feasible.
It's a negative impact.
It's
Okay.
not.
Yes, Joe.
I just wanted to ask Mr. Sachs a question. Are you gonna have a staff on record over here? A staff?
Come back to the building.
Yeah. Security, maintenance, etc.
It's not contemplated to have a doorman in the building because of its size, but there definitely will be services for the building. There will be janitors, there will be people that are maintaining dealing with the property. And then depending on what the condo wants to do, you know, they can always define if they wanted to upgrade that
Okay,
and add more services
with the
because they want to pay
availability
for
of
it.
jobs, would you make it a preference for people in this community to apply for a job? You would love to say it loud. All right. I thought, that's okay. But also, if you do have staff, where are they gonna park? They have parks, right? And we're getting pros and cons here. We're discussing this, what's before us here about this. We're not talking about homeless shelters down the road. Been there, done that. Let's discuss what we're up against now. Homeless shelters, we'll take it up later if it needs to be.
Yes, Bob Drolla,
The building on the corner,
1801 Amethyst Street.
we knew nothing about it, right?
No, we knew about it, but we were not able to find out definitive information about it, just that it was going to be commercial on the first floor and rentals on the top. The amount of rentals, we don't know. The city council person tried to get in touch with the developers. They basically blocked the phone number.
So what do they know that this fellow don't know? How did they do it?
Well, they're coming in with, it's a different beast. It's a
Them
different,
guys, if he drops this project, them guys are gonna run over there and buy that piece of property and do what they did.
First of all, it's a different
Guaranteed.
it's a different zoning, it's a different zoning
Yes.
issue, yeah.
The zoning is imaginary lines. And the
Yeah.
imaginary line could run through your driveway. There's a place in Indian Village that the manufacturing goes up and around. Matter of fact, it goes around one of the community board members' houses, right off Stillwell.
I don't live in Indian
I'm just talking about this imaginary line.
It's an
And that's
example.
the reason, that they can do what they want to do, and these people have to come and go through this process.
Okay,
I hate to say it, but that's the truth.
yeah, okay.
Them
Lynn-
people there,
Well,
what did they do that?
They basically, that was, I mean, we knew about that project. We also knew that there was issues that they didn't comply with, that we made our calls there. They did not want to come up to the community board. They didn't have to, by law, they didn't have to.
So they're gonna do,
You know, we don't know. We have no idea, but we sure as hell are gonna have the heat on it if it becomes something that we don't like. And there's a few buildings in the community that kind of need to have heat on it, so at this point, so.
Bernadette, with that
Wait,
development.
wait, Joe, Linda.
Sorry.
Just to let you know, there has been questions, because I'm on the Jacoby board.
Right.
There has been questions from not only Jacoby management, but also from Einstein management. Einstein has a bus that picks up on the corner of Adams Street 3 times a day.
That's Adams and Morris Park, I see it in the morning.
Right. They pick up, it holds close to 20 people.
It's a jitney.
It's a jitney.
Yeah.
And there are doctors that are inquiring if it is going to be a condo because they are interested. We already have, and as all of you know, nurses and doctors living in the neighborhood. I know how people feel. I know what Joe is saying. He's saying we don't have to worry about a homeless shelter. My thing is, I don't want to even think about it. I don't want to have to think about it because I know what it'll bring. And my thing is this, whatever you decide tonight, you have to step out on faith and decide what's going to be the best. Parking is never going to be great. Driving is never going to be great. It's never. I don't care if we don't do this project and somebody else gets it. They, as the man said, may not give a hoot, and who knows what you get. So if this gentleman is willing to see if he can add parking and keep us, we can keep working together, I can't say that I'm gonna say no go altogether. I understand where you're coming from, okay? I fully understand. I've seen people cut their own driveways on a sidewalk.
Yes.
You know, and it's not supposed to be a driveway. I have 2 homes on there that the guy just made what used to be a beautiful flower garden. He made it a driveway.
By the
and
way,
puts a
I did
car
those
there.
311 calls more than twice.
I know.
I've done them.
But
On that
I
phone.
think in this day and age and with what's going on, we have to step out on faith and decide what's gonna benefit us in the long run.
Okay, I want to just ask a question. The amount of people that are going to be coming in with this project is a lot. I mean, I don't care, 47, if it's just 2 people, you're talking about 47 times 2, okay, is going to be, you know, close to 100. And now it's going to be close to 141 people if you put 3 people in each one. You're talking about 141 more people in our area, which right across the street, right next to Kathy and Angel, is a 2-3 family home that is up for rentals, okay? Which they just did all the sewers, et cetera, they just did up all the streets, et cetera. So you're talking about in just that area that you are going to, I mean, it's something that just is, it's too much, it's too many people in the area. They're not, you know, it really is, I mean, I understand, but my opinion is just too many people.
I'm not sure, I'm actually not sure if you're fully
Where do you think all these people
Wait,
are?
too many people in
Are
one
they
area.
gonna be all out front of the house?
Excuse
These
us.
guys are gonna be in their
Let's
apartment, I don't care if it's 150, they're gonna be in their apartments, they're not gonna be out in the street running around like
He wants,
condos.
that's not true.
Let me,
That's not
I
true.
It is true.
I really want to state this, okay? Because I think you're not understanding something. And I really mean this to educate, not in a condescending way. The 1900 high-density building is going to go into that space that will eliminate parking on your streets. It's going to happen. It's not going to be done by me, it's not my interest, right? We'll leave, someone else will take it, and they're going to do it. You're not going to have any input. It's just going to be a building. It is, this is just a fact. And it's going to be a rental building, right? And it's going to be high density, and it's going to be Section 8. You know it, you see what goes on. This is the economics of the area. When we said we want to do something better, the only option was a home ownership model. And we could only charge a certain amount for those units. If I could get $1 million a unit that was there, we'd have 15 units that was there. I can't. You can't justify doing it. So what happened was, to make the economics work, we had to increase the density. You really have a choice. Bring home ownership with opportunity into your area, or have more of the same. And yes, there are trade-offs. We hear you about parking. The parking situation is lousy. It's only going to get worse with somebody else who just goes and takes away parking spaces. We don't want people who won't take pride in where they're living. There are economics of New York City that requires a level of density. And because of the price of the land, the price of construction, this site is 20-some-odd feet below grade. Those houses on the Adams Street side are 2 stories down to the front door. That has to be compensated for. We've got a retaining wall that is 115 years old, built by the New York Railroad that was out there, that we're going to be taking care of to stabilize. Infrastructure has to be dealt with. It has to go across all of these costs. You're really up against 2 things. It is very fair to say, developer, what are you going to do in helping us with parking, helping us with the situation? We're doing the best we can. But just on the other side, you should be looking at this and saying, look what is potentially coming in versus potentially what was going to be done. Something will get built there.
Okay.
And we hear you, we're listening, we want to make it happen. The number of units, which is going to be challenged by the Board of Standards and Appeals, it is a tremendous document. We provided it to your community board.
We have
You've
it.
gone through it, you've gone and seen it. There's a reason why the economics have to work under this model. And that's why the number of units. It's not that I said I wanted to have 51, 47, 42. I would love to build a 15-unit building. It just is not economic.
All right, let me ask you one thing before we take somebody else's. Why would you be able to build something that's quality within your own design, dignity of design, et cetera, for a home ownership within the zoning? Would you have been able to do that at all? Nothing at all? Not even a glimmer close to a midway point, et cetera?
No.
That's really sad. problem, and it,
Well, we got a big building that was built a couple of years ago, 11 Lebanon Street, and the other side is Tremont Avenue. And that's about 7 stories high at least. And they must have put 8 to 10 apartments. It's between Morris Park Avenue and Bronx Park Avenue. They knocked the old elevator down, the old Westchester line. It was a fortune to do that. And I guess it was all city work, right? It was all city funded. I understand it's affordable housing in there. And they didn't make one parking spot. And they did it. We didn't say, that is not our community of 11.
right, that's in the.
But they did it only a few blocks
It's
away.
community.
And that's what's gonna happen to his lot if you don't get it, am I right? Somebody's gonna take it over and do that, and he's
Well,
gonna say,
the
no.
mayor might take it
not
over
one
and put
parking
an
spot.
affordable house, yeah, but that, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand the possibilities of what could be the what-ifs, you
No
know?
possible, it's gonna be done. If he abandons the project,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna jump on it. If the mayor says we need more affordable housing, he's 100% for it.
Okay,
And
Bob.
they did it. And Ruben was here a few months ago, and he said there's no, housing for middle-income people.
Right, no, I know,
They're pushing the Bronx. The Bronx is a
the
dumping
Bronx is
ground.
getting dumped on big time, so, no, I understand.
You ain't gonna fight City Hall and win.
That's exactly, we have to fight, yes, sir.
Yes, all the neighborhoods that we discussed in Van Nest, and it's very small, I don't know the square footage of Van Nest.
Well, it goes up, Van Nest goes up to Bronxdale Avenue.
But it's very small. Van Nest Avenue is a one-way, and in the morning time, it goes all the way back.
To Newport.
But to his advantage, that particular location doesn't clutter Van Nest because it's at the tail end of Van Nest. But my point is, everyone is talking about cars and, congestion, which is a big point, but no one is talking about the children. Where will the children be able to grow into these small
But that-
neighborhoods?
Right.
And I'm
But
not
this
saying
is-
because that's just part of what's happening.
Right.
I don't think it's just conducive to Van Nest.
No, it's
I
not.
think-
It's Morris Park.
I think it's everywhere in New York
It's
City
all of
right now.
Community Board
So we
11.
can only speak about the limited space that we have. New York City is out of
Can I
space.
make it a point with something like this? This has been, how many times have we talked about this, Linda, at the Youth and Education Committee? And how many times have we, with the other community, we have Tony Signorelli, we have other community board members, and we do not know why the elected officials do not prioritize the future, which is our children, and give them the education they need. Everything else goes above it.
Not the
And so
education,
bottom
But the
line,
places, where will the child grow? It's-
right now, we don't have middle schools. And there's no, the middle schools are limited, so, and because where St. Dominic's was, that's only going up to the 5th grade.
So
So
then
we
that
don't have
means
the middle
that we
school.
as a community need to be discussing those issues.
Right, but that's not for this issue here.
No, I
That's a-
understand that, but that's
that's a ripple
critically
effect.
important. That's critically important.
But Earl,
Yeah.
what you're saying is, and this is why as a mom, my heart is breaking because I bought into a neighborhood where my children could walk out and see trees and walk around and ride their bikes and everything. And when you have overcrowding and no parking, it's not
It's gonna change.
conducive
It's
to
changing.
children.
But I just
That's
want to
what
add to
I'm
your
telling
point,
you.
but that's conducive to New York City, not
Right.
just
I know,
to Van
I
Nest.
know,
It's
I
not
know,
just
I know.
exclusive to Van Nest.
I know.
I know,
Because we're
so
looking at Van Nest,
that-
and
that's-
it's inclusive.
Well, that's a project for, how shall we say, where the communities, basically Van Nest, Morris Park, Pelham Parkway, have to get together and start protesting so that maybe we put pressure on the elected officials to do something so that that gets answered. Right now, it's, it's something that is an after effect to when you bring in 141 more people, 47 more families that, might not just be couples, there'll be families, etc. Where are those kids gonna go? Well, we don't know, but we've been asking that question for years. So, yes.
One more question. Mr. Sachs, when you had the original designs, you were talking about possibly a museum space and all these other things. Is there going to be like a community space
Yes.
within that building?
Yeah, still planning on 3,000 square feet of community space.
And we discussed,
Okay, now when I say community space, in other words, the people will be able to wash their